So Gary just pulled out a frame of honey. This is capped honey here that he's cutting off. He's got to cut off the caps to expose the honey so that we can extract it. And we catch all the caps because the caps do still have honey on them. And so then it goes down in the bucket, which has honey that we already emptied from the extractor once. And in each one of these frames, when they're full of honey, this one isn't quite full, they're not all capped, but when they're full of honey, weigh anywhere between 4.5 to 5 pounds. And then once we've extracted all of the honey, the empty frames with empty comb weigh 1 pound. So this one has a lot more capped honey. So all of this white here is all capped honey. And then this is uncapped honey here where it's shiny. And then Gary's just cutting off all the caps. And what we'll do is we'll take the caps and melt it down into beeswax, which is what a lot of people use for all sorts of things. So when you see beeswax for sale in the stores, this is what it comes from, is these caps. So, and it's also, some of it is also just the rest of the honeycomb. So, and then he just goes through with a fork. Usually we have a little fancier comb fork, but we gave that to a friend of ours and forgot to get a new one. So, so we're using a fork. You know, we use what works. And then once he's got that open, he's going to put it in the extractor. Oops. And then he's going to pull a new frame.
Oh, guess I'm going to pull a big frame. Oh, this one's heavy.
So this is a super frame, or a deep. It's bigger than the other frame. The other frame was just a medium. And look at all that capped honey. And today we got to sample some of the honeycomb and the honey. We had some friends of ours that were visiting while doing a hive inspection, and she had her grandson with her, and which was the great grandson of our friends whose hive we were checking. And so they all got to go out and see how the hive check goes, and what the bees are doing, and then what the frames of honey look like when they come out. And so Gary offered, he was a little scared of the bees.
The boy was.
The boy was, yeah, the great grandson. And Gary offered to give him some honeycomb, and he jumped all over that. He already knew how good that was. And so we gave him a nice big chunk of fresh honeycomb, and boy, he was not going to share that with his grandma. I'm sure grandma will get some, but he was not. He was all about that honeycomb, and if we would have let him, he would have sat there and probably ate the whole thing. So that was exciting for him, and of course for us, because you know, fresh honeycomb is amazing and delicious and so good. And our house smells like honey right now, which is never a bad thing. So, and then we also filter our honey. So this is one filter that we do, just trying to get the big stuff out of the honey. And then once we're done extracting, we will get a finer filter to extract more of the smaller particles. We can't
But leaving
always...
the pollen.
Yes, but leaving the pollen. Pollen is good.
That's a heavy frame. £10 versus £5. This will be out of balance.
So, it's going to be wobbling like crazy. So, this was a hand crank when we bought it. But, let me tell you, if you want a good arm workout, use the hand crank. If you don't, then hook up your electric drill. And it works just as well that way. So,
And a DeWalt cordless won't work because it's got a brake on it.
okay, so DeWalt cordless won't work because of the brake on it. And I don't know if you guys can see
Hey, you can
the
see that
honey.
slapping against
Well,
it.
I mean on the video,
Yeah,
honey.
I'm looking at your
Okay.
video.
So, all that stuff on the side that's coming out, that is the honey. So, we basically just spin it until we stop seeing honey come out. And then we flip it over and do it to the other side.
And we don't use plastic frames.
We do not use plastic frames, we use wax frames. So that's why he's not spinning it super fast right now, because if you spin it really fast while there's honey on both sides, you could blow out the frame. And then that just makes more work for the bees when you put it back in. So they're focused on fixing the honeycomb as opposed to filling it with honey. So he's going slow right now. Once we've done both sides, then he'll speed it up a little bit and make sure that we get the most out of it that we can. So now he's just flipping it over. And because of the way that the bees fill the honeycomb, they fill it at an upward angle so that the honey doesn't run out while it's hanging in the hive box. And so you have to make sure that you put it in the extractor the right way so that the centrifugal force will pull the honey out. So there he goes again. On the other side. You see all that honey coming out? And all of that honey collects down in the bottom of this thing. You probably can't see it right now. Because of the cover on it, which is a good thing because Gary, who we also call Sticky Fingers Wolski, got honey everywhere yesterday because he didn't put the covers on.
So he really was a sweet guy.
And then he went and touched things in my kitchen and got them all sticky. And then I got all sticky. So yeah, it was a sticky mess. But it's all worth it for this delicious liquid gold. So, all you people that have already pre-ordered honey from us, guess what? You're getting it this year. Your name is on our honey-do list, and we'll be filling honey bottles soon. So now that he's got the honey out of both sides, he's going to speed it up a little bit to really pull that honey out. And again, we just look on the sides to see if there's still honey coming out, and there is, so...
Not open until it
Yeah,
stops.
Gary's really good at following directions. So, this is what it looks like after. Well, this is almost done. He's going to do one more spin on the other side to make sure. But yep, so it pulls most of the honey. You're never going to get all of it.
It's kind of like the kids get to lick the spoon when frosting in the cake. The bees get to clean up the mess.
So once again, you can see there's lots of honey coming out still.
I think it's done.
There's still a little bit coming out. Yeah, I think it's done now. These are all the empty frames that we're going to give back to the, and they'll have lots. There's honey in the bottom of this cooler that the bees will get to clean up. They'll be happy about that. So and then if you look in the bottom of this, there's all the honey with some caps and just some bits and pieces in there. So that's what we'll be filtering out. Sometimes there's some dead bees in there. Sometimes there's some pollen, some
chunks of pollen.
Yeah, chunks of pollen, and then some beeswax. Like this is wax here on the side. But that's a pretty good amount for today too. I think that was about as much as we got yesterday too. So, all right, well, there's the process. And now Gary's just playing with the caps to try and get as much honey out of those before he sends that back out for the bees to clean up also, before we turn it into wax. So there you have it. Oh, he's gonna one of the perks of being a beekeeper. Bye, y'all.